Alrighty. So 2 videos down, um, and we've been killing it, absolutely killing it. Today is going to be on uh, APIs, REST, and state management. Um, so yeah, start section one. What is an API? Um, what is it really? It's a contract between two pieces of software is probably the best way to put it. Um, So APA stands for Application Programming Interface. And I know that sounds dry, so let me give you a version that sticks. An API is, yeah, again, a contract between two pieces of software. It says, if you send me this, I'll send you back that. That's it. That's the whole idea. Um, think about a restaurant. You sit down, you look at the menu, tell the waiter what you want. You don't go back into the kitchen because you generally don't know how the food gets made. So you must make a request, and then you get a response. The waiter is the API, and the kitchen is the server, and you're the client. Now, in web development, the most common type of API you'll be working with is web API, specifically APIs that communicate over HTTP, and the most common style of building those APIs is called REST. Alrighty. Any questions on that? Cool, cool. Um,
All good.
what is REST? REST stands for Representational State Transfer. And before your eyes glaze over, let me tell you why it actually matters. Um, so REST is not technology. It's not a library. It's a set of principles, a way of designing APIs so that they're predictable, scalable, and easy to work with. Um, so instead of endpoints, are here. So some of the core ideas would be like resources and URLs. Um, in REST, in a REST API, everything is a resource. A user is a resource, an article, a saved item, um, and every resource has its own URL, its own address. So instead of endpoints like slash get user or slash delete article, um, REST says use the URL to identify what you're working with, and use the HTTP or the HTTP method to say what you want to do with it. With that being said, HTTP methods. This is where it clicks for a lot of people. HTTP gives us several methods. You've seen them, and we're going to break them down a little bit. So you have your get, which is read something, um, and your post to create. You have your put, patch, update, and of course delete removes. Um, so instead of slash delete user and then like an ID, a REST API would say a different form of delete with semicolons with the space and then typically the user with its ID. Uh, kind of like this, just like that. The method tells you the action, the URL tells you the resource, clean, readable, predictable. Status codes. Your API doesn't just return data, it returns a status. And status codes are how your server communicates what happened. Um, your 200 okay, 201 created, 400 bad, 401 to 403 auth, 404 not found, 500 to server error. I mean, you want to know a lot, pretty much all of these, at least these ones. Um, especially during an interview. If someone asks you what's the difference between a 401 and a 403, are you able to answer that clearly and can you answer that clearly? You immediately stand out, and most people can't. Like a 401 is unauthorized, whereas a 403 is forbidden. Um, you know, the first one, you need to log in. The second one, you are logged in, but you can't do something. Uh, then we have statelessness. So statelessness is one of the core principles of REST. Is that every request should be self-contained. The server doesn't remember who you are between requests. Every time you make a request, you send everything the server needs to process it, including your authorization tokens. That's why your JWT, your JSON web tokens, exist. This is why you put your token in the authorization header. This is the server isn't storing your session. You're proving who you are every single time. Uh, that is section 2. Any questions on the rest real quick, or we're good to go to 3?
I think good.
Cool, cool. Alrighty. Data flow, front end to back end. Now, we're going to talk about how data actually moves in a MERN app. And again, MERN stands for Mongo, Express, React, Node. Um, because I think this is where a lot of confusion lives, especially when you're debugging and something isn't working and you don't know where to look. Um, Essentially, here's the flow. It's pretty straightforward. User doesn't understand something, they click the button, submit a form. React makes a fetch or an Axios call to your backend API. Express receives the request, runs the route handler, talks to Mongo if needed. Mongo returns data to Express. Express sends the response back to your front end. React updates state with the new data, and the UI re-renders. So 6 steps. Every single API call in your MERN app follows this path. When something breaks, your job is to figure out which step it broke on, and knowing what these error codes, these status codes mean, can really make the difference of how quickly you are able to find the issue. Um, it's why they matter. That's why you need to check your networks tab in the dev tools. Inspect, and then let's see, network. That's where this all would be. Your fetch, everything. Um, This is why you also console log. There you go. Console log on the back end, so you can track the flow. Um, Now, typically, I'd ask right now, when your fetch call fails, where do you first look? I'd open that up to you guys, but I know you guys aren't coders. But if anyone's watching and wants to throw it down in the comments or something before I tell you, that's fine by me. Um, But most people look onto the front end first. But for the real answers, you want to be looking in the network tab, like I just mentioned. Um, and I'll tell you exactly. It'll tell you exactly what request was sent, what status code came back, and what the response looked like. From there, you know whether the bug is on the front end or the back end. Um, this isn't just a debugging tip. It's system thinking. Um, that's what separates, the junior devs from the people who get hired, is understanding how these flows truly work. Any questions on that? Cool, cool.
You mentioned. Oh, go for it, Mr.
No, no. What's your question?
I said I'm good.
Oh, okay. You mentioned something about UI. So in this part is something that um UI UX designers help out with something, or is this just like something that we handed off to the dev department that you would deal with?
So when I was talking about, so like the dev tools, um,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that coders use. So like, oh, I don't think I'm sharing my screen with you guys. Let me see. So, for instance, like I would inspect a page. This is the dev tools.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this, for instance, is the elements tab. and shows you all the different elements, how they're
Mm-hmm.
in order. Here's the console, and then there's the network tab. So this isn't something that you guys do. This is something that we do. This is how, like,
Okay.
if we're having issues with a website, like, how do we figure out what's going wrong? You go to the network tab, and this is where it'll show you all the different API calls and what their statuses are and things like that.
Does quality assurance look at this too?
I mean, if they need it, this is on. You can do this to every single website. You just right click, inspect, and every website has it. Layout, event listeners, computed, styles. It's got everything. Security.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay. Cool. All right.
I'm
I
sure.
never
I'm
saw
sure.
it
I'm sure.
in
I'm sure they
like
might
physically.
use
So
it.
good.
Yeah, I'm sure they might use it in some sort of manner.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, of course. Um, Real quick, and then state management in React. So we're going to shift back things back to the front end side for state management. Um, this is a topic that I think confuses a lot of people as well because there's so many options and it's not always clear why you choose one over the over another. To break it down a little bit, what is state? State is just data that changes over time and affects what your UI looks like. A user being logged in or out, that's state. A list of articles you fetch, that's state. Whether a modal is open, that's again state. Um, Local state and useState. The simplest form, um, when data only matters to one component, use useState. A toggle button, a form input, a loading spinner. Keep it local, keep it simple. Um, if the data doesn't need it, if the data doesn't need to leave the component, it shouldn't. Now we move to prop drilling. Now here's where it can get pretty messy. Let's say you have a state at the top of your component tree, and a deeply nested component needs it. You pass it down as props, then the child passes it down, then the grandchild passes it down. This is prop drilling, and it's exactly as annoying as it sounds. Um, it works, but it has a hard, but it kind of gets hard to maintain fast. And when you have to change something, you're touching 5 different files. Um, you know, Context API. React is something that's built into React. It's React's built-in solution. You can create a context, wrap your app or a section of it, and a provider or any component in that tree can consume the value directly, which means no prop drilling. Um, this is what most of you should be reaching for in your projects. It's not complex. It's built into React and it solves 80% of real-world state problems. Redux and Zustand. Um, the honest take is that you probably don't need Redux for any bootcamp projects, but you do need to know what it is and when it makes sense. Redux is global state management, is a global state manager um, with a strict pattern. Actions, reducers, a single store. It's powerful, it's predictable, and it scales. But it also is a lot of boilerplate for small apps. Zustand is a modern alternative, minimal API, no boilerplate, Um, works great with React. If you're building something real and context starts feeling messy, Zustand is worth learning. So pretty much the rule of thumb here is if you're passing state through more than 2 or 3 levels, consider context. If your app is larger, has context interactions, or has a team working on it, considers your standard Redux. Um, Sometimes interview questions you will get will be like, what's the difference between local state and global state, and how do you decide which to use? And pretty much revealed. And pretty much your answer is well, local state lives in a single component and is managed with useState, whereas global state is shared across multiple components. I'd use context API for most cases and reach for something like Redux Zustand when the app grows more complex or needs more predictable state updates. That answer alone will get you through most front-end interviews. And then to finish this up on my side of things, pretty much putting it all together. We can connect everything we just talked about with a real scenario. Imagine you're building the saved articles feature in a news app. We'll walk through it a little bit. So the user clicks saved article. That's a user event. React makes a post, an API post, articles request with the article data and the user's JWT in the header. That's a REST API call. Express receives it, verifies the token, saves the article to Mongo database. That's the backend doing its job. MongoDB confirms the save. Express returns a 201 created. That's the status code telling the front end it worked. React updates state, adds the article to the saved list, and the UI reflects it. That's state management. Every concept from tonight just showed up in one feature. That's not a coincidence. These things aren't separate topics. They're one connected system. But before I wrap it up on my end, we'll talk a little bit why it matters beyond just building apps. Every one of us is going to sit across from an interviewer at some point, and they're going to ask us to explain our projects. And the difference between somebody that gets the job and someone who doesn't isn't always the code. It's the ability to talk about our code, to explain the decisions, to trace the flow, to say, I use context because prop drilling was getting out of hand, instead of, I don't know, it just worked. Um, that's what we're trying to build here. Not just skills, vocabulary, confidence, system thinking. Um, we are all further along than we give ourselves credit for sometimes, and we just need to keep building, keep asking questions, and keep showing up. Next week, coming up on this Tuesday, it will be a live. The next video will be live on YouTube. This is the last recording, hopefully, but I will try to record the videos just in case there's an issue with the live stream. But from now on, yeah, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and that's just a quick wrap up of the first three weeks. I'm excited to see everybody live on Tuesday. Is there anything else that you guys would like to chat about before we fully wrap up?
I have some questions actually.
Absolutely.
So the states that you were talking about, you said global state and local state. Like, are they something similar to states within the components that we have, like pressed state, default, error, and also the components that you were talking about? Like, are they the same components that we have in the UI side, like the buttons, the input fields, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, everything that you're designing, so like for instance, that button that you have on, say a modal, um, it's going to have a use state of being inactive when, certain fields aren't filled because we don't want a user to be able to select and click that button to allow it to be submitted if all the fields haven't been filled out first. So it's going to be sitting in a use state of, inactive until it meets certain requirements.
That makes sense. Let's see. To change topics, I think you mentioned to let to remind you for possibly then I don't know if it's during the live right now or afterwards about different topics that we might cover too in the future.
Yeah. What was it?
Uh, I think it was like after you're done with your certification with the boot camp, like what are the next steps? Like
Yeah, so,
like a
next steps for once you finish boot camp is, just keep working on projects with friends, find hackathons and competitions online. There's lots of them through Google. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just stay active. It's, the if you don't use it, you lose it, saying
yeah.
really can do a number on you. So always try to stay on top of your stuff, stay active, keep building your portfolio, and obviously just keep applying to jobs. Focus in, try to find things that you want. Personally, with how hard the market's getting, I say don't be too picky. Get a
Hmm.
job and then be picky. But it's you just got to keep after it. It's just a lot of work. I mean, as long as you keep pushing and you keep doing your best, it will pay off. I believe in that. So
Um, so especially with what's going on as well with AI as well. Um, our career coach for the UI UX part mentioned about if um whether because a lot of us we were just applying and just tweaking our portfolios. Um, so if you she said if you can't find an opportunity besides um the what are they called the group projects that you can do
the code
you she said
jams or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, well she said to find a problem and take this opportunity during this time where there's a lot of confusion. And if there's a problem that you have always wanted to solve as whatever position you're in, if you're a developer or if you're in UI UX or quality assurance, she said you can create your own projects then. So I don't I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been creating all, my own projects for a while now. Like Masood, he's on one of the teams, and I have a couple in the
Mm.
works. And I'm actually going to be designing a call it a another like video game type app here soon. Hopefully, just working on some things.
Oh,
But yeah, it's coming along.
that's good. Oh, that's
Just you,
awesome.
you just always have to just keep your irons in the fire and just keep working and yeah, just have an idea and build it or find somebody else that has an idea and build it for them, and
Mhm.
you know, never it's
Oh,
always fun.
it would be nice too to like maybe when every topic is like shared, um, if anyone has any more topics later on, it'd be nice maybe to have maybe one night where we have someone who finished projects and can present it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even said, since our boot camps no longer going to do their little code jams, I have no problem hosting them. So, and giving out
Mm,
cash
yeah.
prizes should to whoever wins. So,
Okay. That sounds fun.
we just need more people to show interest and I can get it started.
Yeah, I think we had some additional people that I told my group about for the career coaching, the biweekly meeting. I did mention our group about it. So I think we had an additional wave of people sign up.
Heck yeah. Yeah, no, I'm excited. Yeah, once we grow this, the more we grow this, the more we'll be able to do. So I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. And thanks again for everything.
Absolutely. And is there anything else you'd like to add, Masood?
Thank you very much. That was actually I had one last question.
Yeah, what you got for me?
Would it match? Which is would it match to another place? I don't know, but like you worked on a couple of projects till now, You're still working on it. So, how do you handle situations when skill levels amongst team members do not match? Like one guy is low, like has fewer skills. He's struggling or something, you know? That's the question that I had.
Um, I try to recognize it and I try to help where I can. I'm not going to give everybody answers, but I'll help lead them in the right direction of, hey, have you tried thought of, if you tried thinking about this or, but ultimately at the end of the day, when there's goals and deadlines set, I've picked up the slack where it needs to be done because, well, it needs to be done. Um, my opinion, that's just part of being a man, of just, having to suck it up sometimes and pick up others' slack. I mean, it shouldn't, but I mean, that's the real world, unfortunately. It's fortunately you'll have teammates who are picking up others' slack because they aren't pulling their weight, and it stinks. But making sure you communicate to them and like, hey man, like, this needs to be happening. Otherwise, like, why are you on this project? So it can stink, but just making sure it gets done. Like for all three of those code jams, we are the only group that stayed within presentation time. And just making sure you keep an eye on requirements and due dates, and just talk to your team, work that communication. You know.
Absolutely. By the way, if you like, when you host your code jams, or are you I was gonna ask, do you plan to call them code jams, or do you have a specific name?
Oh, I'll call them something else. I haven't thought of anything yet. Like, yeah, I don't even know yet. Yeah, I'd have to think about it.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that was all from me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else, Haru?
No, thank you so much for everything. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you guys for joining. Like I said, we'll be back at this in, yeah, 2 days. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll be back at it live, and I'm glad that I was finally able to get a YouTube channel started and get all these recorded, and so people that have missed videos or that will be missing future weeks can kind of catch up. And um, unfortunately, we weren't able to have the principal engineer here for this
Yeah.
re-recording, but
Do you have
yeah.
the did you put it?
Oh, what?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was really good at explaining a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but, I've been
That's
making sure
okay.
to drop
Uh
all of the mermaid charts and things like that.
do
So,
you have the links? Do you have the YouTube link, or you're not gonna release it until after this one?
yeah, no, it's already up. I even posted about it on Tripleton. It's the weekly stack. So the same name as the Discord channel, the weekly stack. But I can
Um,
I'll post the link
Okay.
after I get the third video
Sounds good.
uploaded, because as soon as we finish this, I'm gonna get that posted, and then I'll drop the link saying all three videos are up. Go catch it here. By the way, live's on. Blah, blah, blah. So there'll be a post.
I
But
plan to share the UI UX talk on my socials as much as I can, since I'm in it and it's like a podcast. That was so nice.
So,
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
yeah,
Of
it
course,
is
but
super
always you have my support, bro. You need to be informed. You have my support on your back.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. I'm doing my best that I can. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best I can to give what I can for you guys. So I,
Likewise.
I'm hoping that all these, like, as like
Thank
as
you.
we continue to grow, I get better at presenting and hosting and things like that. But yeah, yeah, this is really fun. This is really fun. I really like it.
Yeah, thanks for everything, and yeah, can't wait for the next one in the next 2 days.
Alrighty, I will see you guys on Tuesday.